Right, hi, welcome to this tutorial. So yeah, this one is just going to basically go through how I prepare one of my tracks to get it into the Modstep app on the iPad. So I've chosen this track. This track is called Mind. What I'm basically doing is I'm sort of working through some of my most recent tracks, but also some of the tracks that I've got the best feedback on and the most likes on SoundCloud and so on. So this track called Mind, which is off my album that came out last year called Rebirth, seems to get quite a lot of love. So I thought I'd do this one as my next track to prepare to put onto the Modstep app. So first thing I'll do, this was what my finished track looked like. Okay, this is quite a good one to do because there's not a lot going off in this one as well, so I can get through this one fairly quickly-ish. I know I always say my videos will be quick, they always end up being about half an hour long, but anyway. So again, I'm just doing this. I'm doing it off the computer microphone. You know, sorry about the sound quality, but I try and get these things done as quickly as I can. Obviously, you know, I do all this stuff in my spare time. I don't get paid for it, apart from the little bit I get from YouTube ads. So just bear that in mind when people start moaning about sound quality. You know, you watch this stuff for free. I do it for free. So if you don't like the sound quality, you know what I'm going to say. Don't watch it. Right, rant over. Sorry, it just annoys me when people moan about sound quality and I give up my time and do this for free. You know. And all people do is moan. So I'm sharing my knowledge with you. Just enjoy it for what it is. Sorry, I'm sounding like a grumpy old git now, and I'm not a grumpy old git. I'm generally quite happy, but certain things do wind me up occasionally. Anyway, right. So this track sounds a bit like this. Hopefully, you'll sort of be able to hear a little bit of it as it comes out the computer speakers. Okay, so it's kind of like an acidy minimal kind of thing. So first thing I would do is when I'm starting to get a track from the original finished production to a live performance scenario is, first of all, I'm going to save it under a different name so that I don't stuff up my original, my kind of like final mix and master. So I generally just save it, you can see up here, as the song title Mind, and then in brackets I'll do either live or live Modstep version or whatever, just so I've got a separate version of it. And then it's just going through each of the parts and working out what I'm going to do with each bit. So if we just deal with the bass first of all, straight away I can see that this track's not used on my original thing because for some reason I recorded the TB3 twice, so straight away we can get rid of that. And then what I generally do is the way I normally work is I'll sort of write a MIDI part, and then I'll record the audio, which is what I've done here. So this was the MIDI, this up here is the original MIDI part that was sent. Actually, I did this on the TB3. I think when I recorded this track I didn't have the TB03, but I think for live I'm going to play this back through the TB3. So I think the first thing is to look how many bars it is. So let's just solo this track out. Okay, so I'm gonna take that as a 4-bar loop. I think it's pretty much a 4-bar loop. So just got to do that to get this back in. So I'm going to split this here, and I think that's pretty much repeated all the way through then. So this is going to be my MIDI clip. I think this is the only bit that's going to be sort of needing MIDI sent out. So what I do is I have a folder somewhere. Where's it gone? Here. In fact, I'm just going to bring that over here for now. Right, this is what I use to transfer all my stuff. So these are the tracks I've done so far into Modstep section and time. So what I basically do is I'm going to have a folder for each track. So we'll start a new folder and we'll call this Mind. That's what the track is called. So first thing to do, the simple thing, is deal with the MIDI. I've got that MIDI clip out there. I'm actually going to get rid of that for now, and it should have already done it, but I'm just going to crop the clip just to be sure it's not going any longer than 4 bars. Cool. Okay, that's simple. This bit, all you got to do, right click on the clip, export it as a MIDI clip, and then just navigate to where you want to save yours. Mine's on my desktop, and it's there. And I'm just going to call it. So Now, what you want to do as well is name it how so you can remember it by the track, because when you drag everything into Modstep, it all gets chucked in the same folder. So I'm going to call this mine, so I know which track it's from. I'm going to just call it TB03, and then I'll know what it is when I find it, and I'll show you how to put them in there in a second. Show you how to put them into Modstep. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of stuff as I have used it, as I've sort of exported it and dealt with it. I'm going to keep that MIDI in there for now. I'll keep that audio in there actually for now, despite saying I'm going to delete everything. So all of the drums, generally I do the drums sort of sequence them live from either the TR8 or the Electribe. Now with this one, most of my songs, most of my songs generally fall on the floor on the kick drum, okay, with bits dropping out. So I know straight away that the kick is falling on the floor. So what I'll do is, in my trusty notebook, I just make some notes so I know what I've got to program in on the TR8. So I'm going to get rid of that because I've done that. So get rid of the kick. The closed hi-hat is basically just 16th notes all the way through. So I've made a note of that. So I've got that. I'm going to go and program that in, which I'm going to do on a separate video shortly. Now the open hi-hat is a little bit more complicated. The open hi-hat goes across this 4-bar loop. So obviously straight away I'm thinking now, okay, I can't do that on the TR8 because you can only have up to 2 bars if you use the A and B. So this is going to go on the Electribe because I can do 4 bars on the Electribe. Same thing with the clap, because the clap you can see is we just have this clap on. Again, I think that's a 4-bar loop. Yep. I could get away with a 2-bar loop actually, because it's just beat 2 on the 2nd bar each time. So again, that'll go in as a 4-bar pattern on the Electribe, as I'll set the whole song to 4 bars. Yeah, we've got this kind of rim cowbelly 808 thing I think going off here. Let's have a listen. Yeah, again, looking at that, that's a 4-bar loop up to there. I'm just going to split these down. Now, I could put these into Modstep and sequence them from there, but I try to keep the stuff in there to an absolute minimum, so I'm not having to constantly scroll around the screen the whole time. So I'm going to leave all those because I'm going to need these to program these into the Electribe shortly. The snare drum. Okay, so this is where you've got to make a few compromises. So the snare drum looks like it's kind of like an 8-bar thing of different, like, sort of random fills and stuff over the top. Okay, so for now I'm going to put that on the Electribe, but what I'm thinking is that might be something I could possibly play live on the drum pads. So that's something just to have a think about. Depends on how much other stuff I've got to do and control while I'm playing the track. For that bit, that might actually work quite well for that. So that's my plan on that. We've got a shaker cabassa kind of thing going off here. Again, it's just like a 1-bar thing. So I'm going to try that 2 different ways. I'm going to possibly put that in the Electribe. I might have it as a sample, as a loop. So let's just show you how we're going to do this as a loop. What you've got to make sure is, because obviously when we're doing this in Modstep, Modstep doesn't warp the clips for you. So you've got to make sure your tempos and everything are okay. So this is, so this is warped because it originally was at 128 beats per minute and I'm now at 126. So what I'm going to do, just to be sure, is I'm going to just freeze and flatten this track. So that should, I think I'm doing this right, should just sort of do it without having to have the warp thing on. Because if I export that clip as it is, it's going to be at 128 beats per minute. So let's just flatten it. Okay, so now you can see it's 126 beats per minute. So I'm just going to take this clip here. I'm going to just crop that one out just so I've got it here. Right, so I don't need now to have that warped. Okay, so that should now be at 126 beats per minute. So what I'm going to do, just to find that clip on my browser, again, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go show in Explorer. And it should be that clip there. Okay. Now you can just highlight it and export it like you would normally. But this hopefully should work doing it this way. Right, so I am going to just copy that. I'm going to paste it in here. Okay, and I'm just going to rename it just so I know what it is, because otherwise I'll get that ridiculously long name and I'll have no idea what it means. Mind Cabasa. Have I spelled Cabasa right? Was it a double S or one S? One S, I think. Oh, does it matter? No, but I'll do it as one S. Otherwise I'll get people moaning about my spelling. Right, so just to check that that is correct, I'm going to drag that back in to live. Let's just stick it here for now. Okay, I'm going to loop that and then put the metronome on and turn warp off. Okay, so yeah, so that's great. So that's all nicely done at 126 beats per minute. So that's kind of an easy way of doing it. The other way is just to highlight it, solo that track out, and export, and you've got to just get your render length right in here. So that would be 161 to 162, and just do it that way. If I find it a bit of a faff that way, just find it in the folder and you're there. All good. Right, so like I say, that's going to either be on the Electribe or the sample like that. Right, so the other bits I've got in this song then, we've got these like weird voice things. Now these were originally from a thing that was in Contact. It's called Exhale, the app thing that the VST that does great vocal things. Some awesome stuff in that. I recommend you get it. So this is this thing. So first of all, I want to do is make sure I've got it as loud as I can. Right. So I'm just gonna whack the volume up on that. I'm going to crop it again, and again, just to be sure. Now what I've done is, this was originally the VST. I've already flattened and frozen this track, but as I've just turned the volume up, if I just export that as it is, the volume will go back down to this. I want to make sure the volume's up as much as it is, as much as it can be, just so it's not too quiet when I get it into the iPad, and then I can control the volume on the mixer there. So just to be sure that that is doing what I want it to do at the same volume, I am going to flatten it and freeze it again. And this is really exciting viewing. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Let's just flatten it. So that should now, again, I'm going to show it in Explorer. So that's there. So I'm just going to drag it. I can just copy it across actually. No, I can't do that because it's open in live. You can't do it that way. You've got to copy and paste it. I think. No. Occasionally it does this, which is really annoying. It won't let me copy and paste it. I don't know why. Right, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to crop it again. See if it'll let me do it now. That. Paste. Right, okay. I've got to crop it again once I've frozen it. Right, so I'm going to rename that one. Again, so it is. We're going to call that Mind. I'm going to call that Vox 1. Okay, so just going through the rest of the track, basically it's the same principle, right? I've got this second voice bit here. In fact, I'm just going to double check that that did work correctly with the volume, just to prove to myself that I'm doing it right. So let's just drag that back in. Which one was it? It was that one there. Yeah, so you can see it's taking the volume as that. It's just making sure you do your crops and your freezes, you'll be fine. So that's kind of like it goes across a 4-bar loop. So they play like the first 2 bars, and then this bit here sort of plays on the second, and they got kind of interact with each other as it goes through the song. So this bit. Okay, so it needs to be again 4 bars from there. So let's just split that out. Okay, I'm just going to go through the process of this again. Volume up. Freeze it to kind of sort of print it, for want of a better description. And watch the lovely orange bar go across the screen. Thank you. Okay, flatten it. Just crop it again. Then we should have that again. Show in Explorer. Thank you. And we can now copy it across, hopefully. No, we can't. I don't know why. Why is it not doing it? Come on. Okay, you can copy and paste, but you can't drag it across for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway. Right, so we're going to call this Mindbox 2. Right, so the rest of the track, which you don't really need to watch me do because it's not going to be very exciting, because it's just going through the same principle, same process as the stuff before. So all that's left really is I've got a few effects. Yeah. Okay, and we've got this voice sample, which is like kind of like a bit of the main hook of the track. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the same principle with those. I'm just going to export those, and I'll show you the folder that I've got those in when I've done them. So I should be back in a second when I've done this boring stuff. Okay, so we're back. Right, so I've done the rest of the track. There's 3 different effects in there, and I've done on those. And then there's this vocal sample. There's like a high version, and there's the original version, and there's a pitched down version. So in this Mind folder now, I've got those in there. It's just really naming them how you remember them. I've got like a symbol effects thing. I've got like a weird glitchy thing, and I've got one that I've called Mind Wibble because I know what that means. And then I've got the vocal and the vocal low. So that's basically everything I need to do for now in live. Now, what I'm trying to do, the point behind me doing this, I'm just going to open this just while I'm talking about some stuff, is, you know, I don't want to, I'm not dissing computers, and, you know, that you shouldn't play with computers live, because it's a very valid way of playing. What I kind of tend to like to do with my tracks is, as I've mentioned on previous videos, they're not really standard, you know, format. It's kind of, you know, a lot of electronic stuff. They're all like 6-7 minutes long and so on. I could quite easily just export the original thing, and I could actually go and play live with probably the TB3 and just do a bit of live knob twiddling on that, and then play to the backing track, and then every time I play live, it's going to be exactly the same. Which great, that's, you know, that the audience might like that if they like the original version of the song. But for me, from a performance point of view, that's going to get boring really, really quick. And I kind of like it to be different every time I play live. So, and again, I think as I said on previous videos, I'm going to live stream it the other day. If I'm playing a track and the audience are loving it, I can make that track last 10-15 minutes if necessary. If they're hating it, I can make a track last 2 or 3 minutes and quickly get on to the next one. So doing it like this, it's kind of like I'm remixing my tracks live all the time. Keeps me interested. It gives me a lot of stuff to do if I'm performing, rather than, you know, so I'm actually performing. I'm not just pressing play and pretending to perform to a backing track. Now I could do that quite easily with a laptop and still do the way I'm doing it with this Modstep app. And again, there's nothing wrong with doing that. and that's one way that I may actually, you know, try and do it, as well as doing it with the iPad. The reason I'm trying to do it with the iPad is I don't trust computers live. Okay, I mean, this laptop's a pretty good laptop and it's pretty reliable, but every now and then it will just give me the blue screen of death and it will say your computer's run into the problem and restart. This happened to me yesterday. I was just trying to print something off. I just pressed print and that happened. And it took 45 minutes for the computer to come back on, because when it restarted, it decided it was going to do an update. Now, obviously, in a live situation, you can't risk that happening. The thing with the iPad is, yes, occasionally the app may crash, but to get it up and running and reload it again, it's literally a matter of seconds, not half an hour, 45 minutes that can sometimes happen with a computer. All right, I'm no massive Apple fanboy by any means at all. You know, I have a Samsung phone. I've always used PCs, I don't use Apples, but you can't deny that the iPad is a great piece of kit, particularly for music and for loading stuff in, loading new songs. It's a hell of a lot quicker than a laptop, and it's also a lot more portable rather than taking it out. Okay, so I'm not dissing people who do electronic music with laptops. I think that's brilliant. I do a lot of it. Basically, the reason for me doing this and looking at different ways of performing live is just what is the easiest scenario of taking stuff out and what is the most reliable scenario. But having said that, what I am doing is, this is my Ableton live set that I'm gradually building alongside the Modstep app. And basically what I'm doing is, what is in here is mirroring exactly what is in the Modstep app. So when you see that later on the screen, you'll see this first track here, time, is color coded blue, perception is it's green, and then when I put mind in, I will drag that into here once I've got it how I want it in the app, and that will then mirror that in here. So basically I've got the best of both worlds. I've got exactly the same set on my laptop as on my iPad, so if I want to take the laptop out with me and play with Ableton Push rather than launching clips off the screen on the iPad, I can do it that way. If I want to leave that at home and just use the iPad, I can do it that way as well. So all good in that respect. Right, so just the last section for this part of the video is how we get this into the Modstep app. Very, very simple. So you just plug your iPad into iTunes. It's the usual iTunes file transfer thing. I still wish Apple had come up with an easy way of getting stuff on and off iPads. You know, they've been out for what, 7 years now, 6 years, and still you've got to faff about. I know you can do wireless Wi-Fi transfers and stuff, but it's still a bit of a faff. Anyway, so you plug your iPad into iTunes. Let's just go back a minute. No, I'm going to leave it on that. Or do I want to go on? Right, so let's say you're in your iTunes there. Click on your little iPad icon just there. Then you need to click on your apps. And then all we do is we scroll down to the page and you will have your file sharing stuff here. So choose your Modstep app. That will appear in here. So with all these folders. All you've got to do is just basically grab hold of all of these and drag them in. Okay, and they will copy them across. Okay, don't care about that. Right, now at the moment, they're not in folders. Okay, you don't need to worry about that, because what happens is when you fire up Modstep, it goes through all of these clips and it puts them in the necessary folders that you will see when we go onto the app. Okay, so all those bits that I've done for Mind are now in the app, so I'm ready to go and connect that up to all my hardware and start working out how we're going to play it live. And that's going to come up in part 2 of this video, so I will see you on that one. Thanks for watching on this one.